Hi, I'm Margaret and I'm wild about herbs. And once you learn a little bit more about nettle seed, you'll see why. I love plants which grow around us and are often called weeds, and nettles and nettle seed are anything but. They're a powerhouse of nutrients. So let's learn about them. It's only recently that nettle seeds were brought to the attention of herbalists and the public in general. I first learned about them at a conference where David Winston, an international expert on adaptogens, was talking. Adaptogens are herbs which help our body, mind, and spirit to adapt to stress and stressful situations. And nettle is one of our very, very few local adaptogens. Normally, adaptogens herbs come from real extreme climates like freezing cold or up in really high mountains, and they tend to grow in really harsh conditions. So it was amazing to have our attention drawn to the simplest of nettle seeds and how powerful they are. We learn about all these imported superfoods like maca and acai berries, but nettle seeds actually outdo them all when it comes to nutrients and health benefits. And they're free and they are so abundant. So, how to harvest these nettle seeds? Well, first of all, they're one of the easiest herbs to identify. You only have to touch them and feel the sting. So harvest the seeds when they look full and luscious and ripe. When you rub them and they gently come off the stalks without being pulled off. And when they're dark green, don't wait till they get black or dark brown. The female seeds droop with the weight of being first fertilized. The male seeds don't do that as they're lighter. Under magnification, the female seeds look like vicious mice, but they're not quite round. But honestly, you don't have to take a magnifying glass. The more you get to know and love nettle seed, the more you will just instinctively know when they're ready. When you stand in front of those nettles and they're drooping and luscious and abundant with these ripe, dark green seeds, you know they're ripe. You don't have to overanalyze it all. You'll just get that feeling that this is the right time to harvest your nettles. July and into August, they're absolutely perfect. So to harvest them, you're going to obviously need something to stop you being stung, although getting the occasional sting is actually really good for you anyway. So you will need a pair of sharp scissors or secateurs and a pair of gloves. You will also need a basket to put your harvest into to keep it until you're ready to dry them. Snip off about the upper third of the stalk and put them into a basket. Don't take every single plant again. Remember, when we're foraging, we always leave some plants behind and we leave some of the plants for the insects and for the little birds as well. Once you harvested them and they're in your basket, I always leave them a few hours. Insects love nettle seeds as much as we do. So if you try and dry them too soon, you could end up with insects in your harvest, and you don't want that. But you also want them to be able to find their way back home again. Spread them out on any surface where you have a room that is dryish and warmish and you can leave for a few days. Put them on newspaper or cotton cloth, an old sheet or a pillowcase or whatever you have. Remember, home herbalism is about what you have. If you have nowhere else, you can even dry them at the back of your car in the sun. I've even done that before. But they need somewhere where you can spread them and you can leave them for a few days undisturbed. You'll know they're ready when the seeds start to fall off the plant, but also you'll see the leaves will be dry, and as you rub them, they'll be kind of crackly. Then you know your seeds are dry enough to be able to store them. So let's talk about gobbling. It's one of my favorite words. Gobbling just means taking your plant and removing the parts you don't want and keeping the parts you do want. It took me about an hour to gobble enough nettle seeds for the whole year, once you know how to do it. So just put on a pair of rubber gloves and rub or massage the seeds between your fingers into a bowl or container. It does take a little bit of practice, and I hope over the years I'm going to find easier ways to do it. I've tried combing them, and that does work, but it takes even longer. Just go for it. Put them between your gloves, rub them, and they'll be done really quickly. You will lose some this way. By combing them with a comb, I managed to collect far more of the seeds. But do you know what? Just you lose patience if you try to be too finicky about these things. And you'll see you will lose some on the newspaper or on your cloth. It doesn't matter. Take those outside and sprinkle them around so they can grow, or the little birds and insects can feed on them. You don't have to throw them away. So once you have your pile of seeds in your bowl, put them through a fine sieve, because nettles have tiny little hairs on them on the seeds, and you don't want that. Then pour them in a jar. I like to use a wide mouth jam funnel because it just, again, they're very, very fine, the nettle seeds. So without a funnel, you lose a lot of them. Put them in your jar and label. So you can see this was just a label from a cut-out piece from a child's painting. Because home herbalism is about using whatever you have to hand. Put what's in it, the nettle seed and the date. They'll last a few years, I've found, that as long as they're green and vital looking, you can still use them. Store in a cool, dark place, as with all seeds. You can use them in smoothies, you can sprinkle them onto any food you want to, just the way you would with chia seeds or flax seeds or any other seeds. You can also put them into power balls or, the little truffles people make nowadays. I like to put them in a salt grinder and put it on my table so that I remember to use them every day. Grinding also helps because the seeds are hard. So by grinding them, you actually are releasing even more of the nutrients. Otherwise, some of them could just pass through your body. I got that hint from Gabby Violent, who teaches wonderful courses on foraging and herbal medicine and all things gardening, and is based in Sligo. But what about dosage? Don't forget, this is a superfood. So start with a pinch or half a teaspoon. Some people are sensitive because they are quite stimulating. You don't want to have insomnia or a jittery feeling from them. Build up to 1 to 2 teaspoons a day, but it is a food, so it's very, very individual what you're going to be taking. Experiment for what suits you. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to learn more about herbal medicine, especially home and community herbalism. Follow me on Facebook or join the Facebook group or the course. Details below in the comments section. And enjoy your nettle seeds. July and the beginning of August are the perfect time to harvest. So if you're listening to this now, go out and find your nettle seeds and pick them.